Hello world! WayofTime here, bringing to you another episode of EEPower. So currently I am in creative mode, trying to test out a new mod I installed called NBT Edit. Now the reason I want to install such a mod is, well, let's try to explain it first. Forge NBT Edit basically is a mod which in-game allows you to edit the NBT tags of any entity or item or block that you are looking at. Now currently that is becoming a bit of a problem with me because what you're supposed to be in is creative mode and type in /nbt edit, and for some reason I do not have the permissions to use this command. Now it means that I need to be opt. I have no clue how to do that. I've been looking online, it hasn't worked out for me. So I'm going to forego that in the meantime, get out creative mode and cheat mode, and then actually start this episode with a bit of a bang. Boom! So what we're going to be doing today is working on the Jade Apiary. And what it's supposed to do is basically index every single bee that we add into the database. That is going to take a bit of work, so our queries are going to give us hopefully enough items to be able to do everything, and hopefully our system doesn't completely die due to the influx of items. For instance, tin is at a very high level right now, and I hope it doesn't die. So, anyways, we're going to need to get a new linking book to be able to do that. So we need to grab 2 books. I'll quickly grab 2 books, make one of them into a descriptive book, because we're going to want to make this stuff in a different age. Now, I do believe I have a linking book already made, but I'm not going to worry too much about that right now. Well, let's see what we can build for now. So with all of this management with the entire book area, I'm thinking that it might be a very good idea to eventually set up some sort of actual Mystcraft Nexus system, because currently this is a little messy having to orient everything every which way. Anyways, I'll put the descriptive book here, and if I have any sort of signs, we might be able to make this a bit more easy. Apiary. Yay, we're gonna do the apiary. Woohoo! So, one thing we're going to want to do is put an electric jetpack on and make sure that our linking book is ready to go, because it is going to be a void age, so that we don't have to worry about A, lag, and B, messy terrain generation, and that always seems to happen. So what I think I'm going to do is, just in case something horribly goes wrong, I'm going to back up and then get everything situated. Let there be cows. Go away. So we entered our nice little age, and it's very green. I'm not too sure if I like the color myself. We'll probably work on that later, but we're very high above the cloud level. So first things first, we want to make sure that we have our linking book back and that it functions beautifully. As you can see, we can link easily enough between the two. So we're going to need to have a few things. Now, I don't think there's actually any sort of building tool added by any sort of mod, something that, like the Eye of, not Minerva, it's basically something very interesting that I can't remember the name of. Anyway, I'm sure it's deeply riveting. But let's see, we got a bunch of, well, not really too many wires, but we got some IO expanders and some building supplies. Our building supplies are going to need to have a bit more to them. That is a very big map, I must say. And if we zoom in, we can see so much more detail about this area. So let's go back into our main base, and then look around. We're going to need to make some more stone bricks, circle bricks, and normal stone for everything. So what we'll do for that is just smelt some cobblestone. That will probably be all we need to do for now, just to expand our little dinky platform that we have. So let's gather the materials, then actually do some designing for the Jade Apiary. Okay, so I stored most of my important stuff up into this chest up here, and have got a general layout, at least, for the plan that I want. Now we're going to want to remove this, and I'll try to explain it as best as I can as soon as I repair this bit. There we go. Thank you very much. Not at all, not at all. So, the Jade Apiary, what I want it to be able to do is I should be able to come up to some sort of computer terminal, type in the bee that I want, and then have it light up a few things. It needs to light up the parent combinations, a few of them that is needed to do that bee. Well, the mutations required to get to that bee, and I also want it to give all the products and the possible habitats that it will go into. So this is probably a 50-some wide area, and it's going to be a long one as well. It can be edited in the future for brevity, but I'm thinking for expansion purposes, this might be the best idea. So how it's lit up, I believe we're going to have to test some lighting systems to make sure that they actually work. But here's a blueprint. So what I'm thinking is that each and every single light, for it to be as compact as possible, will require the light here, and then the wire that will connect to it. And then finally, it's going to need the main wire, i.e. not the ribbon cable, but you know what I mean. That'll be right here, that needs to connect to the IO expander, which will probably be down here with the ribbon cable going off into yonder hills. Now, we're probably going to want to make this expanded. Anyway, so if it's going to be 3 wide, how I have it set up is that the first will be here, so there's 1 light, and there will be 2 lights per column. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 per row. And currently, if my estimations are correct, there's 180 some bees, with Binny and Mist currently making a lot more in the future. So I'm guessing a rough estimate would be 20, or rather 200 combinations. So I'll expand this so that it's 255, or rather 250, so that we'll have all the IO expanders that will be required. We're probably going to need to do some calculations to see how long this is going to need to be. That's not going to be a very difficult combination, since we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra times 4 plus the amount that's going to be here using function, and then we'll be able to get it easily enough. So what I think I'm going to do is mirror the top a bit, and since this is both a bright age, and B, a mushroom island, as you saw with the mushrooms, no mobs should spawn whatsoever in this area. So let's go copy at least a bit of the top. And I wish I had some way to replicate this a lot easier than this. Might be a way, but I'm too lazy. It's funny how being lazy actually makes me do more work. Okay, so I got a bunch of dye, and we got half of a half platform done. So we got some redstone and glowstone. This will be good to make some lumars. Might as well make every type of lumar that we currently can. And some of this, I'll go with white lumar. So we got white, orange, magenta. Of course we have light blue. And the last one is yellow, which we have been idiotic and did not bring. So I'm guessing for our possible combinations of bees, we should probably have 5. And for that, we want 5 of the lights. So if we look at the lamps, now only the inverted are showing, but we'll be able to change it in the future. The first ones are white, orange, magenta, light blue, and yellow. Yellow's the easiest to get, therefore I got some flowers earlier, but for some reason I decided to transmute all of it into light blue dye, which was a bit of a bad thing for me to do in my part. So we now actually have our yellow dye, so let's actually craft those lamps. Hopefully I have enough glass to do so, but oh well, let's find out. So we only need the lumar, the glass, and the redstone. So everything should stay in, or are there only inverted lamps? Let's see. If they're only inverted, that's a bit shoddy. Let's see, la la la. One moment. Ah, glass panes. Glass panes is less of a pain than glass, so we might as well make some of it, though I almost would have preferred regular glass over glass panes. But no matter, we actually have that mystery solved, so we can make one of each and every single light that we have, and unfortunately it's going to be a bit of an annoyance to get everything. So we have one of each of the lamps, and thinking on a design aspect, we'll probably want to have this stuff like this. With our B here, like the B name, we'll need some sort of sign array to do that. That'll be easy enough. And we'll have a lever here, which we can probably activate for some general nefarious purposes, of course. And I wish I could walk on air, because that would be a very big master stroke. So one thing that we should make are some fancy, let's go with this. So some fancy stone panels, stone covers. Yes, so stone covers will keep our wires separated, and since it's going to be so tight together, since we're going to have like one here and here, we'll want to have them like that. So let's put our covers on like so. So we'll have 5 lights, and in the order they will appear in, they will be like so. So yellow, light blue, let's actually place the light blue, magenta, orange, and white. And looking at that, that is a very tall tower that we are probably going to have to beautify, but I'm gonna leave that to Jaded and her crew. Saying it like that just sounds like so yo, what's up dog, and all that stuff. So it's probably gonna look a lot better once there's like a row of the lights, and good thing I didn't back up too far, because that would have been a very fun fall. So we got that, and we're going to need to, of course, put all this. This is where the fun part comes in, where we have to get all, see what I mean? That is just going to be a death trap. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we got that. And we're going to need some more, because obviously we'll want to have our bundled cables in the correct location. So we got that. Now this is where the stuff in below comes into play a bit. And just as a precursor, we'll probably turn some of our bundled cabling, in fact half of it probably, into the more refined substance. Actually, let's just make 8 or 6, I guess. We'll just make 6 stone jacketed cable things. Let's go with that. And our I/O expander. So going underneath, we'll see where to put it. So let's assume that the bundled cables are going to have to go like this, and it'll just be an extension to make sure that it can go up easily, since we're going to have so many of them. So place that there, it'll attach, and since we can't use MBT edit currently, this is going to have to stay, and we'll have one of these per B. which is why there's that 255 limit. That being said, we can easily change the code. Well, I say easily, but it will probably be a pain. We'll be able to change the code later on to accommodate a much larger bead supply than the amount that I currently have it set for. That limitation is, as I said before, 250 or so, because we need some room for the IO expander. So just putting this to the side, and then we'll have some wiring like so, and it needs to go up to the top. Now wire these into play, and this is where the fun part comes in, because we're going to turn on the white wire and see if it actually turns on any of the others, because the redstone lamps, I know for sure, transmit the redstone signal to anything else beside it. So for instance, if you have two redstone lamps right beside each other, it's pretty much just sticking a big old middle finger up at you. So do we have anything else? Wood. That will help. And we only have the ability to make one lever at the time, though I think I'll make it count for once. So let's jump back and see if our orange light actually lights up as well. I'm hoping it doesn't. It might be a hard-coded Minecraft limitation. So turn on, and only the white one turns on. That is great. So that means we can wire up the other ones like so, and not have to worry about any of that other. So we don't have any yellow wires currently, but we'll be able to add that easily enough. So now the only thing we have to do is put that so that we can add more after the fact right beside it. Like so, like so. We'll have the yellow wire, but it just goes like that. There we go. So that should be one module there, but not just that. We're going to also need to add in a wire right below it, which will scan in whether a lever is actually present. So let's make that lever. We got some cobblestone already in our chest over here, so we'll just grab that and turn them into levers instead of having it a little more fickle. So like that. Whoa, how did I get turned around like that? That is disorienting. And we'll pretty much have the lever here. We could move it up, I suppose, but that's just going to be painful in the wiring department. So let's see. Speaking about wires, which color of wire will we need? We got yellow. Next one will be lime. So the lime color will probably be the input. So it's going to be computer controlled, but there should be a mode on it that will basically read in the input there. So that means it's going to be lime, but it's also probably going to require a bit of red alloy to read in the signal, like so. Oops. Turn that off. There we go. And as you see, it changes depending on the lever position. So we're going to need a bunch of yellow cables. We're going to need a bunch of lime cables. We're going to need a bunch of other cables so that we can get that part going. And of course, more IO expanders and the ability to change between IO expanders, because that's going to be a bit of a thing that we'll need. Okay, yellow, check, and lime, check. So there we go. That's connected. And that's connected as well. So we'll probably need to cover up the outside as well, unless we want to make it one more thick, but that's probably not going to be necessary. So obviously the next one we're going to need is like so, rather like so, and we'll need to put our IO expander down like that and wire this up the wall to make the next one. Now that also means that it's going to, well, this is going to be a very time-intensive project. That much I know. It's also going to be resource-intensive, but not as resource-intensive as a few of my other projects that I am planning will be. So time intensive, labor intensive, and that's just the physical part because we haven't even gotten close to the other part, which happens to be coding. I believe the non-physical part is coding. So I might, now I'm gonna just need to set up a bunch of terminals, and oh, I know something we can probably set up in the meantime is a Flax capacitor. If we get enough bone meal, we should be able to set up a system that'll just convert all of our bone meal to string. We don't have any way to make bone meal otherwise. If we check bone meal, the only way to make it is through bones pulverization, but we can convert back in an infinite loop using the minium stone. I do not personally agree with that method. I find it a bit cheaty myself, so I'm probably going to have to go out and hunt for some skeletons, or maybe make a tier 5 shard using the soul gem. Is it soul gem or soul shards? Oh, or I could just take the 30 bones that happen to be here. So the Flax capacitor is a design that Alaram originally created when she was playing the single player version of the Feed the Beast map. It is very simple and in its original form actually required equivalent exchange to actually run properly. How it is going to be set up right now though is that it won't be able to use it. The original equivalent exchange mechanics that made it so effective. So gosh darn effective. So what we're supposed to do is pretty much take the string that you take, so string, flax seeds, etc., and then convert all of the fun stuff into, well, more fun stuff, raw EMC. We're not going to be going for that. We're actually going to be going for its as then byproduct, which is going to be all of the seed stuff. Seedy. We're going to be a little seedy. So let's set it up in just an impromptu location. We'll have this area as a simple enough place. We'll have a bucket of water, I think would be a good thing to have, and we'll want to make all of our bones into bone meal. We'll probably use the rest of the bone meal for something else in the future, but let's just put it through the rotary macerator and be efficient like that. Now what the heck I'm searching for, even I have no clue, so bear with me. Ah yes, here we go. So we'll want some planks as well so that we can get some sticks because we need to hoe this place up. La 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 la. There we go. So we got some sticks and we'll place that there, and there we go. So we got our stone hoe. We'll just do that and then plant our flax seeds. Now we'll also want some water. That'll just take a water bucket, which we're going to need to determine its location, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem, he says with a straight face before having to craft one. So this water should keep our soil nice and hydrated as long as everything stays according to plan. So what should happen is that the deployer should tick, throwing in the flax seeds, or rather using the flax seeds, tick again to use the bone meal, which is going to be here, and then it's going to need to tick to get the block breakers to break him. Break him, boy! And then it's going to be useful like that. Now, what we're going to need to use are some redstone pneumatic tubes, which, as you can see, we do not currently have many of. So we're going to have to use some redstone tubes and a bit of our redstone that we have. So just in the needed areas, it needs to be on the block breakers, it needs to be there as well, and thankfully we have some stone covers to keep this segregated. So this needs to tick twice and this needs to tick, and we only want the flax seed to go into there, so maybe we can have a filter of some sort instead of that. That almost makes it a little too difficult. Could have the filter here, yeah. by putting the filter here instead and not having it tick with it by putting a pneumatic tube. That should be good. So let's craft a very quick filter, and still haven't located that thing. Yes, it's called a thing. I shall call ye thing. We still haven't located that thing that we are obviously looking for. The plan. Yes, it's called the plan. That would be a very helpful thing to get right. So we'll need to find the plan eventually. I think I know where it is, but I'm kind of too lazy to go search for it. So red doped wafer, throw that in. We'll get the filter, which will just take out all the flax seed and give us some flax, which will be right here as a temporary port at least. Here, and this will be for the flax seed, which we're going to need like that. And this will be a manual recharging station, so we'll just put the bone meal in there and then that'll be good. So it needs to tick, so we need a way for it to tick. So we got this, and it's probably going to require that might work. Okay, so the way that we'll tick this is probably through that some sort of method that escapes me right now, but it will be very important to get correctly. So let's try to think of it. Yeah, that is very helpful way. Good job. It is an incrementer. No, wait a second. Imagine it took me crafting the sequencer to determine what it was. So this is the sequencer. We'll take out everything that we need and put that there, and it basically sequences between the different redstone states. So this won't be where we need it, since that won't be where we need it either. So let's see. What we want is that we want it to tick the deployer. So that'll be through this, and tick the deployer through that. We'll put that shielding right here so that it doesn't interfere with that wire. And because we want it off in between, that'll be how it needs to go. So just simple like that should be all we need. Now we need a location for this, which should be obvious. And it kind of broke the seeds, but we're not going to worry about that. So all we need now is a bit of tube room, which is going to be at the back of our module. I don't know. Where are we going to want this module to go? Let's see. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 tubes there. 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess. We'll put the chests right here, and then we'll be able to fill in the deployer as we need to. So let's make the chest very quickly, and we happen to have some wood at our disposal, so that'll be an easy enough thing to do. There we go. Chest. And once we ramp this up to a sacred enough speed, so to speak, so let's not use our wrench in there. So there we go. Sequence it up. So we place the seeds, then it bone meals, then it breaks it, which sends it off and into that loop, which should have enough. So that's 1 second. Let's make it at a fast enough rate. Now obviously it can be a lot faster, though I don't think there really is any need for it to be like that. So we get all the flax seeds going into that. We're going to pretty much be overrun eventually, but our bone meal is getting into good use. We'll have all the string that we need for everything that we need. Yay! Imagine that! Indeed. And Indeed is already used by someone else, so I don't think it'd be a good idea to use that. So I'll just let this run. Let's see, how fast can you go? I don't think that is going to be a good speed, so let's turn it like that. There we go. So we'll let this run, get enough string, and then we're also going to need to build up our area so we can have a much bigger area to work with, and finally get that MBT edit thing to work. So once again, if you happen to know how to op someone in single player. Probably is going to require single player commands if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to try to figure that out, but in the meantime, go ahead and say it. I'll probably have figured it out by then, but who knows? I'm an idiot after all. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of EEPower. If you like what you see, don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe to future episodes. Now that I think of it, this could be a bit smaller. WayofTime here, signing off. Have a wonderful day.